Two old guys that ain't taking their crap no more. You're listening to Earl and George.
Welcome, everybody, into another edition of Earl and George, a pseudo-weekly wrap-up show where we talk about the politics of the week. My name is George.
And my name is Earl.
And that's Mr. Producer. How are you doing today?
Oh, my God, I'm here.
I think I'm taking you to lunch today. Aren't I taking you to lunch today?
Are you?
I think I am.
Sweet.
What happened to the sleeves of your shirt, by the way?
Still a little bit of summer left.
Did they make it like that?
No.
Or did you
No,
alter
they
that?
did not.
To show off your guns.
Well, you know, and when I was working out.
Earl?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, buddy?
And no complaints.
Except you're sick.
Yeah, well,
you stay on that side of the studio.
I'm not
from
sick anymore. I'm getting over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've got antibiotics in me, so
Okay.
nothing
Well,
to worry
good.
about. Yeah.
I think somebody has actually changed my my settings on the
Sounds
on
like
the
it.
processor in there. I think somebody has altered the settings on the mic processor. But that's okay. We'll figure that later. Lots of stuff going on. Of course, we weren't here last week. Don't mess with anything in there, Mr. Producer, because I hear myself through his microphone more than I hear myself through mine.
Yeah.
Oh, is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you're. I think his mic gain is way up. Like there's something going on, but whatever. Lots of stuff to cover today. My goodness, if you haven't been watching the news, if you live under a rock, or you just happen to be returning from a trip from North Korea where you can't get internet, Harvey Weinstein story. We're going to be talking about that today. Thankfully, he has plans for the future,
Right?
and he's hoping for a second chance.
Yep.
And Michael Moore is
God.
going to be weighing in on that. Also, the
Weighing
president, we got a lot of stuff talking about the president of the United States. Obamacare executive action. I'll come in there and look during the first break. Obamacare action, executive order, which is going to change a lot.
Yep.
And everybody's up in arms. Oh, this is terrible. Whatever.
It's gonna ruin. It's gonna be bad for the poor. The poor
Yeah.
people will suffer.
Yeah, so it's whatever. I want to talk about it from a different standpoint about the appropriation bill for Obamacare subsidies. That's what I'm going to talk about today. I found that interesting. Also, the tax proposal. We've talked about a little bit of this, I think, off the air, but we really haven't gotten into it, Earl, about what the president's proposals really mean. Like, we really haven't gotten into that, I think, on the air.
No.
And the complaints about it from high tax-paying states, like states that have high income tax,
Like New York, California.
well, we're going to go through the list, and you're going to find the list very interesting because I found the list interesting.
Huh.
I bounced it off another list. The Vegas timeline. That we weren't on the air last week, and for the simple fact that we got lazy.
Not for lack of trying.
Yeah,
Well, half of us was lazy. Half of us wasn't. Just saying, you know.
Yeah.
One of us showed up.
I mean, I was here.
Right.
I was here. I just one of us showed up to work, and one of us showed up didn't.
Right.
Not to work.
So sorry.
But we never got to talk about the shooting in Vegas, and of course I've got my take on it. Earl's got his take on it, and now the police keep changing the timeline, and we're not going to rehash all of that, but we're going to talk about the timeline a little bit, the changes in the timeline. Also, coming up later in the show, our douche of the week, and we're going to start with my favorite story that keeps coming back, or this is the story that keeps on giving, about Imran Awan. It keeps coming around. Now, for those of you that have listened to Earl and George in the past,
Didn't we talk about this on the first show?
We have talked about this since the very first show. And every time a new piece of evidence comes out, it just comes back around, and I just get a bigger and bigger smile.
I do too. It makes me laugh.
This is a freaking James Bond movie, okay? This is the script for a James Bond movie, and it keeps getting stranger.
Right.
So the latest twist in the story now, and Earl, I don't know if you saw this or not, but Imran Awan apparently had a second wife.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He had a second wife and lied on the documents that said he wasn't married.
Wow.
Now, his first wife, his other wife, the one we know about, said that the second wife was basically kept as a slave.
Dude.
This is the strangest story. So, Imran Awan is now being arraigned. He's in court, right? This is what the process happened this past week. His wife had fled to Pakistan with him, and when he was trying, she was already there.
The wife we know about.
The wife we knew about. She was not supposed to come back, okay? There was no expectation of her coming back to the United States because she's named in the suit as well. She shows up in the courtroom, and no one knew she was going to be there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she shows up in the courtroom. I'm telling you, all these people are turning state's evidence like that.
Right.
They're all going to do it. He apparently had a server that he was sucking all kinds of information from the Congress on. He was moving data from the congressional servers to his own private servers.
Wow.
He had all kinds of information on laptops. He had access to all the Democrat laptops, and one of them he left in a bag specifically for the police to find. We talked about that. All of that data is now admissible as evidence, and Wasserman Schultz is trying to get her lawyers to stop it from being admissible. There's something on there she doesn't want anybody to see.
Wow.
Email traffic between her and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, because once it gets on record, that's going to be awesome.
Oh, man. It is. I'm telling you, this is the gift that keeps on giving. There is no way that somebody's going to prison, and it's going to be somebody with a D and a state next to their name.
Now, when you say that he had access to the congressional servers, does that mean he was going after Republican info too?
I think they've got separate servers.
Okay. All right.
And by the way, only the members of Congress can give you access to that.
Wow.
So you have to have like congressional access to specific areas of the server. If he was pulling data from other areas of the server, that's why the Capitol Police were like, "What are you doing?" And they started to look, and they started to dig, and they started to find all this information. So yeah, dude, it's weird, and it's going to keep getting weirder. Now there's this other woman.
Yeah.
That he apparently so now we've got polygamy involved, and like, dude, this is somebody right now.
Well, I mean, did he?
All you gotta do is change the names, and you can publish the book.
Would polygamy apply? I mean, were they married here, or were they married in
here?
There? Really?
Yeah, married here in Virginia,
dude.
Yeah, and he lied on the documents. Now, how does his first wife, who works with him at the Capitol, and she comes back and she's now, boop, here you go. There's all this information. So now this is only getting better. This is like General Hospital for political pundits.
Or Jerry Seinfeld.
It's fantastic.
Not Jerry Seinfeld.
No,
What's the other dude?
Maury
Maury's
Povich.
one of them,
Maury
but
Povich.
yeah, that's not who I was talking about. I was talking about the
Jerry
other
Springer.
Yeah, thank you.
Said
Springer.
Seinfeld,
I know
Springer.
it. Yeah.
Dude, it's better. So we're going to take a quick break, see if we can fix my mic, and then we'll talk about Harvey Weinstein. That's probably one of the biggest things. We'll get that out of the way.
Right.
It's getting crazier and crazier. It's Earl and George. Not sure. You hit Q. What? You just did something.
What just happened?
You just hit a button.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
Welcome back to The Cat Show. Up next, we have Nico. Nico is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right. A group known especially for their sunspot sleeping, ball chasing, leg rubbing, and of course, companionship. Just look how she struts.
It's like she owns the place.
And see how she curls up and cuddles her person.
The pitch on her purring is simply perfect.
Nice one.
Fantastic cat. But really the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Nico is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Hey, you, over yonder. You're listening to Earl and George.
Well, how's that?
That's a little bit better.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Just a tad better. It's Earl and George, Aged Conservative Talk. Thank you guys so much for jumping out on the internet and supporting EarlandGeorge.com, supporting us on Spreaker and SoundCloud. I know we took last week off, but there was plenty of information, plenty of stuff to go back and listen to on our mobile app and so on. And thank you guys. Again, all of the support we've had. I have people listening all over the country and all over the world, basically. So to all of our friends in Japan, arigato, listening. Are you pulling up the analytics?
I was pulling up Spreaker's analytics really quick to see how we're doing over there.
We're doing better than Harvey Weinstein. That's not hard to do better than Harvey Weinstein. Now, the thing about this story that really drives me crazy, and there's a couple stories that we're going to talk about Harvey Weinstein. This is systemic.
Yeah.
Okay. And this has been, for the last 3 decades, the worst kept secret in Hollywood. And I think that's actually, somebody quoted that and said, this is the worst kept secret in Hollywood.
Yeah. They've been joking about it.
It wasn't even a secret.
No, it wasn't. And the thing is, this is how some people break into Hollywood, is they just go there and for lack of a better term, this is going to be kind of crude, everybody, but they basically just screw their way to the top.
Right.
Right? There's no way else to put it. And what he was doing was taking advantage of young girls that would come to Hollywood with a dream of becoming an actress. And by the way, some of them were familiar, like Angelina Jolie. You know, she is from an acting family. She is the next generation. Now she comes out and says that she was molested by this guy. Gwyneth Paltrow comes out. Now all these women, and now all these women are coming out and saying they're being lauded as courageous for coming out and speaking against Harvey Weinstein. Okay, where have they been for the last 30 years? Where have they been? You talked about somebody who was paid off. He was raped by Harvey Weinstein.
Right. Well, supposedly raped.
Supposedly,
we don't know for a fact. Yeah.
But we know that she was paid off.
Yeah.
To keep her mouth shut.
Yep.
And that's the thing. This has been systemic. This is not what good guys do.
Right.
This is what bad guys do. And because of the power, and I used to live in Burbank. I worked in Hollywood. I was in a different area. I was not in music and I was not in acting. But this is rampant. It is rampant in Hollywood. And anybody who can get something over on someone else in Hollywood is going to do it.
I know this is not really too recent. This is taking it into the music industry, but didn't Keisha, somebody do that to Keisha or something? Kesha, whatever. Keisha.
I don't know.
I think I
wouldn't
saw
be
an
surprised.
article that said it was something like that.
Well,
she sued her producer saying that he violated her.
They do it to young women. They do it to young men. Corey Feldman, I know, has famously come out many times and said things about parties.
Because his best friend, Corey Haim, died from it because he was so depressed over it. He kept doing drugs and he ended up ODing.
And Hollywood is where they eat their young. Okay,
Right.
I am not going to say anything positive about Hollywood, California. You have Matt Damon and you have Ben Affleck, and they're all trying. I guarantee you, they're trying to figure out how to defend Weinstein.
Yep. Well, what's her name did? Meryl Streep actually tried defending him, saying that while she thinks that the reports that are being said are grotesque, at the same time she wants to wait and see for all the evidence to come out because she's never heard anything about Harvey Weinstein, although everybody else had.
They joked about it on the Grammy. They joked about it on the Oscars.
Right.
I mean, they Jane Fonda came out and said, "Oh, we knew about this a year ago, but I didn't say anything."
Right.
You're an evil human being.
Yep. And Terry Crews, the big black guy from Expendables.
Yeah.
Yeah. He came out and said that he was also assaulted by a director.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, it's good for the people that are finally coming out and talking about it. But, the reason they weren't talking about it years ago is because, like, the lady that I was telling you that said she was paid and there's proof that she was paid was Rose McGowan. They were all afraid that they were going to lose their jobs or that they were going to be somehow blackballed in the industry if they spoke out. So nobody wanted to talk.
Right. But look at this. There's decades of evidence that not only do the perpetrators get away with it, but the victims hide it to further their own careers.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to change. Even with all this publicity, I think there's still going to be that.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely. And I don't want to certainly am not going to blame a victim here.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's not what we're about. My question is, this happened to you 20 years ago, let's say. Okay, let's take I just mentioned her. Not Gwyneth Paltrow, but Angelina Jolie. Let's take Angelina Jolie. Okay. Stunningly beautiful woman.
17 at the time.
17 at the time, young, and from an acting family. This happens to her. Does she tell her father?
They've had kind of a strained relationship, so I don't know.
Does
if
she tell anyone, or does she say, "This is the business. This happened. I'm going to block it out and just forget it and go on and be a famous actress"?
Well, there's.
How do you do that?
I'm not blaming a victim, but people. When Angelina came out and spoke about it, people were really quick to remind us of her promiscuous past. The ladies of The View were quick to do that, and I couldn't believe.
No, I would not say, okay, well, the way you were dressed, you were asking for it. No, that's what they were doing. My question to Angelina Jolie is, you put your career, your future career, above yourself.
And your sanity.
And your dignity, and you put all of that. And here's the question. How many else have done that? How many people have said, look, I'm putting my career above my morality. I'm putting my career above my integrity. Again, Corey Feldman keeps coming out. Corey Haim was assaulted. And he keeps putting his morality, and I'm not a fan of Corey Feldman by any means, but he keeps putting his morality above his career.
Right.
So how many people look, Gwyneth Paltrow, I got to ask you a question, Gwyneth. Why did you not report this when it happened?
Well,
did you put your career above your morality?
She wasn't. I don't believe she was actually assaulted. I think he tried to get her to go into the bedroom to give each other quote unquote massages. And she actually went and told Brad Pitt, because Brad Pitt confronted Weinstein on the red carpet. Because I remember this back in the late 90s. There was this huge posting all over the place. I mean, it was the entertainment news because Brad Pitt is getting into it with Weinstein on the red carpet. And their people are trying to push him off and everything.
Good for Brad Pitt.
Come to find out all these years later, it was because his woman at the time, Gwyneth Paltrow, had just told him Harvey tried to put the moves on him. And Brad Pitt is the only one that has successfully stood up to him in Hollywood, supposedly. But the funny thing about Weinstein, it came out that his contract with the Weinstein Company actually has clauses in it where he is allowed to abuse women so long as he pays the restitution and a fine to the company. That's outlandish.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's
I saw that
supposedly that's a known Hollywood contract. Like it's exclusive to Hollywood. They do this all the time. But yeah, his contract says for the first offense, he had to pay the company $250,000 on top of the restitution that he had to pay the victim. For his second offense, it was $500,000 to the company, and for his third offense and own, it was $100,000 plus. That's why we know that there were 3 rapes because of the money trail. He's paid his own company $1 million for raping 3 women.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And then, the settlement with Rose McGowan that she can't speak about was back in 97, and it was for $100,000 from the Weinstein Company.
Well, he has now escaped to a sex therapy,
which is
thing.
BS.
It's all BS.
In that video where he was like, "Yes, I need help." He
I hope for a second chance.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. So then he's out.
Well,
right?
and my wife's comment to that was a second chance. Maybe if you'd have done it once, but the fact that you did it more than once, there's no second
You've been
chances.
doing it for 30 years.
Yeah. And then his first excuse was, I grew up in a different time when it was more acceptable. It's never been acceptable.
I don't know, man. I was watching the James Bond movies from the 50s, and I was sitting on the plane when I was flying back this weekend. I'm watching the James Bond movie, and I'm watching Thunderball, and literally Sean Connery basically coerces a woman into the shower to have sex with him by threatening her job. And it's like, he basically does it all the time. He forces himself on women in 1950s. And by the way, I'm not making excuses. I just happen to make this connection. I'm watching these old James Bond movies in order, by the way. It's awesome. And I'm watching these James Bond movies, and I'm like, these women were, James Bond just forced himself on them, and then they were like, oh, James. Like, they just gave into it.
Wow.
Right? And then, of course, they would turn good, and that would be the end of the movie. But there's one scene in Thunderball where he's strapped to this table something, and the bad guy comes in and tries to, hurt him. And then the nurse finds him, saves him from this device. Then he uses that instance to get her undressed in a shower. Wow. Like, way to go, James. and at the time in the 50s, everybody's like, well, that's James Bond for you.
Yep.
Now we look back and go, literally just coerced her. And, I mean, he just rapes people on screen in the 1950s. You're just like, what? Now, today, it's totally, you can't do
Morals
that.
change throughout history.
It's amazing how they treated women in the 50s.
Right.
Now, again, not making any excuses for anything, but if you go back and watch James Bond movies, you'll be appalled at how they treated women on screen.
Right. Well, and then, Hollywood has kind of built the culture, too, like you said. I mean, if they were doing it in the 50s, and then you talk about some of the movies that have had some grotesque rape scenes, women are always degraded in some way, form, or fashion. I mean, look at all the horror flicks. I've been showing my kids, showing them Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff so that they could see it. And I'm telling them, okay, look, this is what you got to prepare for. And the women are always the over-sexualized part to every horror story.
Yeah. Sex sells, unfortunately.
Because men are pigs.
Well, thank goodness Harvey Weinstein has been caught, and he's off to do his sex therapy, because you know what? He's got important work to do, according to this article.
Oh, wow. I know what this is.
Harvey Weinstein says that he's already done Pulp Fiction. He was the producer of Kill Bill and Inglourious Bastards.
Don't forget The Matrix. The Weinstein Company did that.
He now says that he is going to make a movie. Very important work he has to do to turn his full attention away from the negativity that's being sent his way. He's going to turn his attention to give the NRA a run for its money. And also, he's making a movie about President Trump so that he, and his words, perhaps we can make it a joint retirement because he's been fired from the Weinstein Company.
Huh.
So, thank goodness, the sexual predator who has been at large in Hollywood has finally turned his attention to the evils of the NRA and President Trump. And to echo the words of, can I say, Earl, one of the greatest Americans, Michael Moore.
Oh, God.
Michael Moore says, and I quote, "I don't live in Weinstein's Hollywood world, and I make documentaries, so I can't speak to the culture he created and seemed to thrive in."
What a tool.
In the New York Times investigation, this is a quote, "Into the repugnant and abhorrent behavior of Harvey Weinstein is a profound cultural, social, political moment that I believe could actually ignite a historic change in our society," Michael Moore said. "What if we seized this moment and bring down once and for all the white male hierarchy, which has ruled our way of life in America since the first boatload of religious zealots arrived on Plymouth Rock," end quote.
Wow.
Anybody want to guess who my Douche of the Week nominee is going to be?
Yeah, I got a pretty good idea.
Anybody want to guess? So let me get this straight. Michael Moore has now blamed the white male hierarchy and religious zealots for Harvey Weinstein's decades of abuse.
Yep.
Oh, he's not done yet. Quote, But I want to point out that there is also a fundamental fix that must occur in the long run if there is ever to be any real change. We must reform our broken economic system and transform it into one that is equitable and democratic, one where the gap between rich and poor is eliminated so that no longer do a few wealthy men hold the power, end quote.
Wow.
Michael Moore, everybody. Dare I say, the biggest ultra douche in the United States of America. New York hates you.
Who happens to be worth over $50 million.
You know, I'm going to New York in like 2 weeks.
Sweet.
I'll be hanging out. Literally, I'm going to Central Bar. I'll be Central Bar West for like 4 days.
Why?
I'm not going to say why.
It's special.
I'm going to be there for a couple days. No big deal.
You should bring everybody a souvenir.
From New York?
Yeah.
I'll just pull up some grass from Central Park and be like, here you go, some weed.
As long as it's not pigeon droppings, that'll be good.
I can do that from San Francisco. Little aerial rats are everywhere.
Well, the thing about the whole Weinstein thing, too, though, is that he may actually be able to come back to his company because they didn't have a right to fire him according to his contract.
Dude, they're Democrats. He's going to be like, I'm so sorry, everybody.
Right.
Or he'll pull a Roman Polanski. He'll go over.
That's who I wanted to get about.
He'll go over to Sweden, and then he'll make a movie about Trump, and then everybody will love him again.
Yep.
He'll make a quote-unquote important work.
Well, you know what else he's working on? He's working on a Trayvon Martin documentary with Jay-Z because Jay-Z's trying to buy his company now.
Trying to buy Weinstein?
Yeah, he's trying to buy his portion of the company so that he can get that movie done for probably less or something. I don't know what the meaning behind him buying it.
They are all evil. Yeah. They are all evil. You've been molesting women for 30 years, and you're like, I'm so sorry. I need a second chance. I'm going to go to counseling.
Well,
no, dude, you need to go to prison is what you need to do.
Like you said, the Roman Polanski, I mean, when he won the Oscar, did you hear how many people were applauding him? And the Meryl Streep talking about how he was such a good person and that they should just let it go.
And he's not allowed. Like, if he comes to the United States, they arrest him at the airport.
Right.
That's Roman Polanski.
Because he skipped out on bail.
Yeah. And I think Weinstein will do the same thing. When you are a mega rich, ultra liberal, it's perfectly fine for you to escape justice. Justice is for us little people.
Right. I don't know if he'll be able to go to Europe, though, because he's got open warrants in Europe, too.
Hey, Weinstein?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He'll end up in like Brazil. That's where all the Nazis went after the war. He'll end up, and he'll teach film school down there or something, you know.
Huh. Worth $120 million. He'll be all right.
When we come back, we're going to talk about the Obamacare, or should we do the tax thing first?
Let's do the tax thing.
Let's do the tax thing first. When we come back, the president's tax proposal, which we're going to get into, and I think we talked a little bit about it in a previous show, but we're really going to dig into it. And the problems that people are digging out of it are really not the problems. It's Earl and George, Aged Conservative Talk. We'll be right back.
Chris, you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Am too.
There's your comic book collection, the race car bed.
I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I'm taking control over my financial life, and that feels pretty grown-up to me.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org. Are those footy pajamas?
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. You know, I help people solve difficult problems every day, but one problem has me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. Luckily, the Feeding America network of local food banks collects surplus food, giving hope to hungry children and their families. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Mama was always right, 'cause she said so. You're listening to Earl and George.
Well, hopefully that Hillary Clinton will take the Columbia job so she can spew all of her liberal disease nonsense to a room full of rich liberals. Because that's really what she wants to be surrounded by, is more rich liberals where they can all fester in their diseased minds together.
That would be Columbia University. She's not moving out of the country.
Too bad.
Right.
Too bad. She's not moving to Columbia. So a couple weeks ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago, because we weren't here last week, the president came out with a tax proposal. And we kind of ran down a little bit. The big gist of it is the two major things that are happening in this tax proposal. Well, three really is we're going from 7. The proposal is we go from 7 tax brackets to like 3.
Right.
Okay, that's huge. The second thing is that the individual deduction will be doubled. And the third thing is that you will no longer be able to deduct your state taxes from your federal taxes.
Yeah.
So I have no problem with any of that. Like, I can't find a negative in all of that. Because if I look at my state taxes and I compare that to my deduction being doubled,
right,
I'm making money. I mean, for a married family, the first $24,000 you can make is tax free.
Right.
And if you make $24,000, you literally no longer are a taxpayer.
Yeah. Because when we were talking about it, one of your daughters was in here, and we pointed out how college students were going to be able to really benefit from it too.
Now, the liberals are up in arms because of the removal of the state income tax. They call it the benefit, right? It's a benefit where you get, by the way, benefits are earned. I just would like to say this. Benefits are earned, America. They're not bestowed.
Right.
Okay? You don't bestow a benefit on someone. You earn it. Think about your job.
It's kind of like respect.
It's not kind of like, it's exactly like respect. But think about your job, okay? Part of your job is health care. That was a benefit that companies used to use to attract better workers, better employees.
Right.
They would say, oh, well, we're going to have a benefit packet. Now it's expected. You must do it. It is mandated that your company over 50 employees will provide health coverage to those people. It used to be where you would find a company that offered a health benefit plan, and you would earn that. Think about your days off. You don't automatically get days off on day one.
Right.
You've got to accrue days off. That is a benefit that you have from working in your company. So a benefit is not something that's bestowed on you. It is something that is earned. Paying your state taxes does not earn you the benefit of deducting it from your federal taxes.
Right.
Here's the other thing. If I have a deduction of, say, I don't know, let's say $3,000. Okay, I don't know what everybody pays in states. Let's just put that in there, right? Your state taxes. Is that about right? I mean, let's say $3,000 to $5,000, right? Something like that?
Right.
Let's just assume. I'm not saying your state. I'm not saying our state. I'm just saying state taxes is going to be something. It's like
it should be somewhere between $3,000 to $5,000.
But your individual deduction on your federal taxes goes from $6,000 to $12,000. How can you have a problem with? Is my math wrong,
no,
Earl? Am I not?
No.
Do I need to take my shoes off and do the math here?
It's the liberal mindset.
Now, here's something you brought up a good point. The liberal mindset. They're doubling the standard deduction for a family, for a married couple filing jointly. It's $24,000.
Right.
24. Let's say their tax burden for those two people is, say, $6,000. That's $3,000 a piece.
Hey, George.
Yeah.
All the liberals are pretty much like hippies and don't care about money.
No, wrong. And here's why. The states that are crying foul with the president's proposed tax plan, California, Oregon, Minnesota, New Jersey, Vermont,
don't like to make money.
The District of Columbia, New York, Hawaii, Wisconsin, the highest income tax states are the ones that are like, whoa, that's going to hurt our people. It's going to hurt middle-class people.
How?
Hang on a minute. Of those that I just named, how many of those vote Democrat? California, Oregon, Minnesota, New Jersey, Vermont, D.C., New York, Hawaii, Wisconsin.
All of them.
All of them. Since 1992, every single one of those states in a presidential election has voted Democrat.
Wow.
Every single one since 1992.
Dude, I didn't know it had been that long.
California has a state income tax of almost 10%, which is double Alabama's. I just want to point that out.
Right. Yeah. Come to Alabama, people.
No, we don't. No, do not come to Alabama. Go to Mississippi. In fact, don't go anywhere. Just stay.
Stay in La La Land.
California, Oregon, Minnesota, New Jersey, Vermont, the District of Columbia, New York, Hawaii, and Wisconsin. The highest percentage of state income tax. The states that are now saying, Well, that's going to hurt our people. Really?
I don't get how it's going to hurt them. What is their rationale behind how
because
it's going to hurt?
Because they have the highest state income tax, and you can no longer deduct that on your federal taxes from those states.
Oh, I get it. Oh, because it's already so high, then they're going to get that much back or anyway or something. I'm kind of. What do you mean?
Well, let's say you're poor in California and only make $100,000 a year.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. You're poor in California and only make $100,000 a year. By the way, I know a guy in California who put down $500,000 cash on your house because in California it requires 50% down on your house.
Are you kidding me?
And that was close. And he had he and his partner bought a $1.1 million house, just like any house around here.
Right.
Not here, $1 million house is a freaking mansion. There, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, single-car garage.
Wow. And
he had the $500,000 in the bank.
Dude.
Who's got $500,000 cash and they want to put it on a house? In an earthquake. These minds, I don't get it, man. Anyway, $100,000, you're poor. Okay?
All right.
If you're working at Subway in California, you're doing like $50,000 a year. You're making money. That you can't live there. That's why there's so many. You can't live there without making $50,000.
Yeah, but the cost of living is through the roof.
It's astronomical. A 1-bedroom flat, a studio, right? Not even a bedroom. A room with a kitchen in it, a bathroom in it, and a bed. Right?
Right.
$2,500 a month.
Wow. That's insane.
There are like 2-bedroom apartments, $3,000 to $6,000 a month, depending upon the square footage.
Dude.
It's insanity. It is insanity in Northern California. But let's say you're poor and make $100,000. And by the way, I am saying that to mock people. Okay. It's crazy because they're at $100,000, you're poor. And they pay 10% of that to state tax. Okay. It's 9.8, I think is what it is. Then you've got sales tax for every single city. Then you've got a bag tax every time you want a bag. Then you've got all these other taxes. And if you don't own an electric car, you pay a tax. And you pay the highest gas tax. And if you do own an electric car, you have to offset that by paying a surcharge. And it's like they charge you out the wazoo. By the way, the wazoo is your butt.
Wow.
For those of you who didn't know.
I'm already lost with all the fees.
And now, and then they allow you to say, well, on your federal taxes, you can deduct that. And it's a federal thing, not a state thing. So they get a little bit of money back. All right?
Okay.
The president is now doubling the standard deduction of everybody, that's according to his proposal. But California is like, well, that's going to hurt our people. No, what's going to hurt your people is you having such a high freaking tax rate and taxing them out the butt.
And them not being able to get it back. Right?
And $100,000 being the poor people in your state. It's insanity. And here are all these liberal states, we vote Democrat. And when somebody comes along and says, we're going to propose fewer tax brackets, you're going to more deductions, and they're like, no, that absolutely can't do it. We want to keep the system we've got. In fact, we want to tax the rich more.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
That's insane. How $100,000 out there. I get it. I understand the economics of it, but $100,000 would be considered poor.
Well, I think $100,000 out there is considered middle class, maybe. Because the people I work with, by the way, everybody I work with in California is on an H-1B visa or whatever it is. Yeah, every one of them. They're all from India. I work with 300 people from India, and they're all here on H-1B visas. And like all of them make, it's well over 6 figures. And I have to fly across the country, and I'm just like, guys, what are we doing? Right? And they, it's just insane. It's crazy out there. But they're actually saying that doubling the deduction for people is, and this is the crazy part. These are the same people that are like, those are going to hurt people. These are the same people that say they want to stop sex trafficking by decriminalizing it.
Right.
Did you see that story?
Yeah.
Did you see that where they want to decriminalize prostitution so that they can eliminate sex trafficking?
Yeah, because they're people too. Yeah. It's kind of like what they did with the AIDS thing, where they made it to where it's not a felony anymore. That's California.
In California.
Yeah.
Yes. And California has passed a law. He signed it into law to give felons their voting rights back.
Are you kidding me?
No, man.
Wow.
They are not only they are not on a slippery slope to hell. They are running at it full frickin' steam. They are stoking the fire. And Brown is just like, yeah, bring me more liberal crap to sign.
Right.
Come on, baby. Let's go, Sacramento.
Good old crazy Jerry Brown.
You haven't screwed up our state enough. Let me sign more crap. Go liberalism.
What was the thought process behind the felons getting their voting back?
Because Earl.
They're humans. They need to be able to do it.
Well,
I know why they did it.
By the way,
how did they sell it to the people?
This doesn't affect people in federal prison. It's only the local jails and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
He can't because he doesn't have the power to do that in federal prison. Because it's why? It's a federal statute.
Right.
And if he could, he would.
Wow.
You know they would.
That's insane.
Let's
get some felons to vote for us. That's the only way we'll win.
Thank you, President Trump, for the proposal of lowering our taxes and simplifying
doubling
our tax code.
Our refund.
Our deduction.
Yeah.
The first $24,000 if you're married.
Yep.
Tax free. And how can the Democrats go, that's bad? Well, I'll tell you why. When we come back, we'll talk more about President Trump and bring up Maxine Waters, our favorite liberal in Congress. It's Earl and George. We'll be right back.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn earrings today.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Michaela's got like the best earrings.
Sarah, buckle up.
I wish my name was Michaela.
We're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
It can be tough getting through to kids, but it's your job to make sure they're wearing your seatbelts. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Smoother than aged whiskey and tighter than turn 4 at Talladega. Earl and George.
Is it Talladega this weekend?
Yep.
Yeah. You know, I got a buddy of mine who he's getting his ARCA license.
Really?
He could be running next April at Talladega in the ARCA
Nice.
race. Yeah. He works here at the radio station.
Nice.
Yeah. Which means I get some sweet passes.
You hope.
And I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Like, go, Biggie, go. So we're going to talk about the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts and the Boy-Girl Scouts and just the Scouts in general, I think. Next hour on Earl and George. I did want to talk about a couple other things. We've got a lot to talk about. The Iran deal. The president came out the other day talking about Iran. Is he a president of Iran?
He's the Ayatollah.
No, I don't think they call him that anymore.
Really?
I don't.
They
no.
got a president.
They have a Shah, and then they have, I don't know. Somebody from Iran came out and did a press conference to recount what the president said about Iran, which of course they would. Maxine Waters attacked Ben Carson. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I wanted to talk real quick about, and just kind of switch gears at the end this hour, with a new study by the CDC that came out about American obesity.
Oh, it's not good. It can't be good.
Why do you say that?
It
can't be. Let me say that more condescendingly. Why do you say that, Earl?
I don't know. I just got a feeling it's not going to be good.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
You and I are both between 40 and 55.
Right.
You know that 42.8% of the people in our age group are obese.
How much?
42.8%.
Damn.
42.8% of the people in our age group are now considered obese.
Almost half.
That's almost half.
Very good.
Yeah. Wow.
30% of the people in your age group, Mr. Producer.
I don't think I'm.
It's like 20. It's like 27.8% or something.
That's still a pretty high number, though.
No, it is. It is.
Which tells me now, and here's the question I had was, did anything Michelle Obama do help future generations for their obesity?
No. But that wouldn't be in that study anyway.
It wouldn't because this has to do. They don't start measuring until later. You want to go on to some other things, some really interesting things that came out of this?
Yes.
Black people and Hispanic people are fatter than white people.
Seriously?
That's literally what it says.
Oh my God!
By far.
That's a racist report there.
Okay, so 13% of the American population is black.
Right.
40-something%, and I got to pull it up now. See, now I want to pull it up because I want to make sure that my fat figures are right. Hang on, let me just make sure that I get to it. Because if I don't quote it exactly, somebody's going to be like, you made those up.
Right. You're making up stuff.
Yeah. Let's see.
Dude, I got to hear your really country accent come out. You almost did it right there.
Was it him?
I'm redneck enough as it is.
No, you said it just.
He's
I was
a
like,
sick
wow.
redneck. All right, here we go. You ready? I'm just going to read some of these. Okay, 40 to 59, 42.8%. You're fat. 42%. Okay. Over 60, 41%. 20 to 39, 35.7%. 12 to 19, 20% of the population, 12 to 19 years old is overweight.
That's still, God.
6 to 11, 18%.
Are you kidding me?
You ready? Between the ages of 2 and 5, 14% are obese.
I don't know if I would have believed this.
According to the CDC.
What do they consider obese?
I'm sure.
Because, I mean, you know what they say, for my height, okay, 5'7", and for my age, do you know they actually say my appropriate weight is supposed to be 160?
Yeah, I'm supposed to be 210. I'm 249 right now. I'm supposed to be 210. I'm like, but it ain't no way.
I'm supposed to be around 170.
They told me they wanted me to be 160. I said, there's no way I'm getting below 200.
With an ego the size of mine, there's no way I'm getting to 210. Come on, guys. That was a softball. That was a softball.
I'm not going below 200.
Are you ready?
You do have a big ego.
46.8% of non-Hispanic black category. 46.8%.
Good grief.
46.8. They only make up 13% of the population in the country. There's 300 million plus Americans. 13% of them are African American, and 46.8 of you are fat, are obese.
Wow.
I'm fat. I would consider myself fat. Am I fat? I'm carrying around 40 extra pounds.
Yeah, but you're losing it. You're active.
I'm losing.
You're working to actively lose it,
and I hide it well. He's like gives me the golf clap.
Right.
Let's see.
See, I'm probably obese because I'm not even doing anything to get rid of my weight.
47% of Hispanics are obese.
Good grief.
Yeah. Now here's the stunning statistic. Non-Hispanic Asian. Have you ever met a Hispanic Asian?
No.
I have never met a Hispanic Asian.
Nope.
But there's a category called non-Hispanic Asian.
Wow.
By the way, if you're a Hispanic Asian, can you call us? Because we want to meet you. We just want to meet you. Non-Hispanic Asian, 12.7%.
That figures.
Now, again, non-Hispanic black, 46.8% obese. Non-Hispanic white, 37.9%.
Wow.
Yeah, total. Yep. Here's another staggering statistic for you. 54.8% of non-Hispanic black females are overweight, are obese, are considered obese.
Good grief.
54.8.
Good
Non-Hispanic black males, 36.9.
Wow.
And interestingly enough, white people basically have the exact same number for men and women. It's exactly the same. 37.9 and 38, respectively. Yep.
It's got to be a racist report.
It's got to be.
Got to be.
Previously, prevalence of obesity among youth, 13.9% of 2 to 5. That's that. I don't understand. Over 10% of the population between the ages of 2 and 5 are obese.
Right.
What in the world?
That's why I want to know what they're considering obese, because when you have babies, they do this whole chart.
Yeah.
And they say, the growth and everything for your kid. And they're always saying, oh, well, your baby is a little bit too fat. And I'm sitting there going, they're about to hit a growth spurt. Who cares how fat they are? They're going to start walking and burning the calories off. And it always happens. But I digress.
28% of Hispanic, I would call them children, between the ages of 2 and 19 are obese.
20%?
28%.
Well, as a father of half Hispanic children, I'll say that's a lie.
Wait, your kids aren't obese?
No.
Why is that?
Not. Because they eat healthy.
No, it's because of white privilege.
Oh, well, yeah, that's right. My white privilege. I need to check it.
Check your white
my
privilege and your thin children. Oh, speaking of children, I got this one. We'll wrap up this one. It'll drive you crazy. This is going to drive you. Earl,
great.
Get ready for your head.
Just what I want.
Next hour, we come back. Look, we're going to talk about Trump's Obamacare executive action. Trump takes on the media. We're going to talk about the Iran deal. And yes, we're going to talk about Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts in general.
Just Scouts.
Let's see. Parents in an Atlanta suburb are not happy when they found out their children were subjected to a sexual orientation and gender identity quiz by their 6th grade teacher.
I didn't read this article.
I asked you earlier, how old are you in 6th grade?
Right. I didn't read that article. I didn't want to do it.
The answer is 11 to 12. So we are subjecting, not we, but in Atlanta, in this school, this teacher decided to send home a quiz to 11-year-olds. The quiz, here's some of the answer. Let's see, where is it? Here are some of the questions. What do you call a woman who's attracted to a woman?
I don't know.
Anybody?
What do you call it?
Put yourself in the shoes of an 11-year-old boy.
Confused.
What do you call a man who's attracted to a man? What do you call a person who's attracted to both men and women?
Super confused.
What do you call a man who's attracted to a woman or a woman who's attracted to a man to men?
Normal?
Yeah, so the answer: lesbian, gay, bisexual, and straight, and it just kept going. The broad term that could include gay, lesbian, bisexual, blah, 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 blah. The quiz included wildly inappropriate fill-in-the-blank questions regarding sexual preference and suggestive references to homosexuality and transgenderism, and parents were having none of it.
Why is it being asked? Why is that at school? Why should... digress.
The district is currently investigating.
This is why I don't live in Atlanta anymore.
They're 11. They're still watching Nickelodeon.
You hope. But the key to that is some of them may actually be pubescent, but they're mostly prepubescent. So they're trying to get them before they get into that whole sexual drive thing.
Can I ask you guys a question about the difference between a 12-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl? Anybody want to talk about that? Does anybody want to talk about the difference between a 12-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl and how both of them come into from adolescence to adulthood? Does anybody want to have a discussion?
I don't know. I don't know if I want to have that discussion or not.
You're going to next hour when we talk about the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts and why there were two separate organizations to begin with, and it wasn't about keeping women down.
I know where you're going with this. I thought this is where you were going, but
as Michael Moore puts it, the white male hierarchy.
Check the white privilege.
Does anybody want to have that discussion? I am not a scientist. I'm a dude who does radio. I'm not. I don't have any degrees in psychology and sociology and biology, but even I know that there's a difference between a 12-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl, and why the two of them have separate organizations.
Right. And why there's a need for the separate organizations.
I mean, if that's the case, why can't your daughters play high school football?
Well, they're changing that.
Why can't they?
Yeah, they're putting
because they're going to get murdered. That's why.
But you can't say that.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Now I'm putting my daughter into a situation where I know for a fact, okay, that there is no possible. And my daughters are athletes. Okay, my daughters are awesome, and I've got one who there's no way she's going to be a lineman. She could have been a fantastic kicker because she could hit a 50-yard field goal with her eyes closed from playing soccer for the last 15 years. But there's no way, man. You make her a tight end, a defensive end. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're not going to put her up against some 6 foot, 220 pound dude. I mean, who has her by 3 steps?
Massacre.
Why would I put my daughter into that situation for some gender equality nonsense?
Yeah.
Well, we've got to it's got to be equal and everything.
Gene, this is going to sound dark.
Who's Gene?
George.
Who is Gene?
Why would I let it's the same question. Why would I let a guy who has played baseball his entire life step out onto the field of my daughter's softball game? He'll be knocking home runs all day long.
Right.
What's your question?
I was going to say just let the liberals just do it, so then that way it'll just
Why?
No, because then you're talking about kids getting hurt. That's why you don't want it happening. Because, again, and I hate to say it this way, but just, scientifically, we're stronger than women.
Oh, my God in heaven.
No.
How dare you?
And
how
you want the Nobel Prize? You just want it.
Yes,
how dare you say that? And how dare you?
We our strength and our power on the football field to a petite woman, which they're typically petite. They're smaller than women. You just have to look at pictures of men and women side by side. It would, like you said, it would be a massacre.
You're a science denier.
Look at me choked up.
And here we are having discussions about concussion protocols.
Right.
And last night the Clemson quarterback was knocked unconscious when tackled. And yet you want to change the rules and allow my daughter, who's 5'5" and $110, to play high school football because of some social justice bullcrap? You let your daughter go out there and get her face beat in every weekend.
Right.
I don't understand it.
It's insanity.
I would not in a million years. And here we are at 11 years old. The teacher takes it upon themselves, and I have no idea who the teacher is. I don't care. The teacher takes it upon themselves to spread their ideology in the classroom.
Right.
What does this have to do with preparing them for, I don't know, 7th grade? Forget life.
Right.
Forget life.
I was going to say the real world.
Yeah. No, just preparing them okay, I'm learning to do long division.
Right.
And I already know transgenderism. And I have to accept
weird.
It's insane, dude. It's not weird. It's it should be criminally liable. Oh my gosh, did I just say that?
Yep.
I'm now a hater, aren't I? Why would you subject your children to that? If you have the means to homeschool them or send them to a private school that meets your morality, please do so.
Yeah, because didn't they stop teaching sex ed too?
Yes.
Because of this whole...
Yes.
They did?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Since when?
They stopped teaching them a while ago.
Yeah, because it's not the school's job, it's the parents' job. But apparently it's the school's job to teach them that they don't want to be boys. It's better if you're a girl. If you're a girl, it's okay if you kiss the other. And it's, oh my God.
To choose which gender you want to be. Just go with what you feel.
You know what they do in sex ed now is just hand you a condom.
Yeah.
You know what this reminds me of? It's Dungeons and Dragons. Roll the dice. Get your statistics.
Pretty much. We would be chaotic.
Pretty accurate.
Look, I'm chaotic good. That's all I'm saying. My rogue is chaotic good.
I'm chaotic neutral.
You're chaotic neutral. When we come back
Y'all
next
are both
hour,
dorks.
seriously, what do you think? Tell us. Jump on Facebook. Jump on Twitter. Tell us what you think. This is insanity, America. And two dumb guys from Alabama see it. Why can't the rest of America see it? Look, I'm so fed up. My voice is cracked. I'm so fed up. My voice is cracking.
I'm offended that you called me dumb.
At least we're not Mississippi. We'll be right back next hour when we talk about Iran and the president's new executive order on Obamacare. Hour number 2 coming up next.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Hi, Mom. Is Claire's birthday party today? Me again, Mom. Where did I put my history book?
Hi, sorry, forgot one last thing. Sometimes it's hard to concentrate. At school, I start looking out the window, and then I forget what I was supposed to be thinking about. I know it seems like I don't care, but I do. It's just difficult for me. Love you, Mom. Bye.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive. Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Two old guys that ain't taking their crap no more. You're listening to Earl and George.
So I'm standing in a Walgreens in San Francisco, California, where by the way, where I fly around the country all the time. So I'm standing in Walgreens, and I'm buying my stuff, and there's a person standing next to me, short hair, earrings. I can look and say, that is a female. Okay? Right. I mean, just right. Regardless of what they think, I'm assuming. Right?
Right.
People are going to get mad at me for that. Guy behind the counter says, "Would you like a bag, sir?" Not to me, but to her. And she was like, ugh.
Really?
Yeah. She was like, no. And I look over and I'm like, why even ask the question? Why even put a pronoun on there? Just say, "Would you like a bag?"
Right.
But he immediately, and I was like, dude, that's like, there's a lawsuit waiting right there. Especially in California, she would have been like, "How dare you assume my gender?" Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, luckily she didn't, and I just got my sushi and left. By the way, Walgreens has great sushi.
I'll just have to take your word for
Walgreens
it.
in California. I don't know why. It is a really good sushi. Welcome back to the second hour of Earl and George. I pulled up this article. It says, FBI reveals existence of documents related to Lynch-Clinton tarmac meeting after they tried to hide them.
Yep.
I love it.
I love the title.
You live in the information age and you're trying to hide information from people.
Right.
It's not going to happen, man.
Well, Clinton did it. Happen. She hid 30,000 emails, wasn't it? Well, she didn't hide them. She destroyed them.
Let's see what Imran Awan has to say about that. So the president came out yesterday with a statement. Here's the he's not in there. There he goes. So here's the statement from the president on Iran yesterday.
My fellow Americans, as President of the United States, my highest obligation is to ensure the safety and security of the American people.
Something past presidents really don't do.
Right.
History has shown that the longer we ignore a threat, the more dangerous that threat becomes.
North Korea.
For this reason, upon taking office, I've ordered a complete strategic review of our policy toward the rogue regime in Iran.
Thank you.
For real.
About time. The last administration sent him $150 bajillion or something. Right.
And then we gave them, what was it? We gave them some kind of nuclear technology. I don't know if it was fuel or if it was rods or something, but we gave them something nuclear-wise. I just don't remember.
Too bad it wasn't a finger.
That review is now complete. Today I am announcing our strategy, along with several major steps we are taking to confront the Iranian regime's hostile actions and to ensure that Iran never, and I mean never, acquires a nuclear weapon.
Now, this goes on for about another 3 minutes where he literally lists all of the times Iranian terrorists have attacked us.
Wow.
Yeah, for 3 minutes. He goes on and on and on, and I don't know if I want to play it or not, but do you want to hear the list of the times the Iranian-backed terrorists have attacked the United States interests?
Sure.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Our policy is based on a tier-wide assessment.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks, Mr. President. Let's keep going.
Iran is under the control of a fanatical regime. This radical regime has raided the wealth of one of the world's oldest and most vibrant nations and spread death, destruction, and chaos.
And you got to suck up to the Iranian people. You know,
Right.
I mean, it's politics.
Beginning in 1979,
Listen to this.
Agents of the Iranian regime illegally seized the U.S. Embassy in Tehran.
I was 9 years old, okay? I was 9 years old, and I remember this. Just listen to this list. It's stunning.
and held more than 60 Americans hostage during the 444 days of the crisis. The Iranian-backed terrorist group Hezbollah twice bombed our embassy in Lebanon, once in 1983 and again in 1984. Another Iranian-supported bombing killed 241 Americans. Service members they were in their barracks in Beirut in 1983.
That was a big one. Yeah.
In 1996, the regime directed another bombing of American military housing in Saudi Arabia, murdering 19 Americans in cold blood. Iranian proxies provided training to operatives who were later involved in al-Qaeda's bombing of the American embassies in Kenya, Tanzania, and
That was Tanzania. He said Tanzania.
Yeah.
That's by the way, the drive-bys are going to grab that and roll with it.
Right.
Has anybody been to Tanzania lately? The president's stupid.
Yep.
Years later, killing 224 people and wounding more than 4,000 others. The regime harbored high-level terrorists in the wake of the 9/11 attacks, including Osama bin Laden's son. In Iraq and Afghanistan, groups supported by Iran have killed hundreds of American military personnel. The Iranian dictatorship's aggression.
And by the way, when I was in Afghanistan, I asked many people, what is the biggest threat facing Afghanistan? And all of them, I'm not lying, every single person I asked, they said Iran.
Wow.
They hate Iranians. They can't stand them. All of the people that I talked to along the border there of Pakistan, it was Iran. Everybody hates Iran because they funnel all this stuff into Afghanistan to fight us.
Right.
And the Afghan people, I know some of the best Afghan people. Okay, they just want to live in peace. Now, I don't agree with their religious views and different things on Sharia law, but they were nice. They were okay people, and they can't stand the Iranian influence in their own country.
Continues to this day. The regime, my fellow Americans.
Oh, it just started over. Okay, so here are the three things that the president is going to do about Iran.
So today, in recognition of the increasing menace posed by Iran, and after extensive consultations with our allies, I am announcing a new strategy to address the full range of Iran's destructive actions. First, we will work with our allies to counter the regime's destabilizing activity and support for terrorist proxies in the region. Second, we will place additional sanctions on the regime to block their financing of terror. Third, we will address the regime's proliferation of missiles and weapons that threaten its neighbors' global trade and freedom of navigation. And finally, we will deny the regime all paths to a nuclear weapon. Today, I'm also announcing several major steps my administration has taken in pursuit of this strategy. The execution of our strategy begins with the long overdue step of imposing tough sanctions on Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
All right. He goes on to talk about how that is the super military secret police of the leadership and so on. I agree with the president that he says what we've been doing in the past hasn't worked.
Right.
I like that he's talking with our allies about how to keep Iran from getting a nuclear bomb, because those are the people that are going to use it. I'm surprised Kim Jong-un hasn't used it yet, but I think his only problem is a delivery method. He wants a no kidding delivery method, because most of his rockets still don't go far enough for him, and they blow up in midair. Why would he put a nuclear bomb on something he knows is only 70% accurate?
Right.
So with Kim Jong-un, I think once he gets a reliable, no kidding, we can send it into space or whatever every single time kind of rocket, a reliable delivery system, he's going to nuke somebody. Okay, Iran, they're like, we just want nuclear power. We just want nuclear power.
So they can nuke Israel.
To destroy Israel.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what they want. We just want nuclear power to kill Israel, the little devil.
Zionists.
So the Iranian leader is immediately following that.
The supreme leader is
the
what he's called.
Supreme leader came out. Supreme leader.
Mm-hmm.
Kim Jong-un, supreme leader, came out with his own statement. Seemed a little gassy.
In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Good evening. To the Iranian nation, the great Iranian.
Yeah, we're like 3-year-olds. Who cares?
Yeah, right.
I don't care what this guy has to say. I really don't. So I put fart noises in
nation,
there.
Wise nation.
Because I can.
It's about all it's worth anyway.
It was important for me.
By the way,
after the speech,
people are like, why did you do that? Because I'm a grown-ass man, that's why.
Right?
Have a nice day.
That was heard from the current president of the United States.
Oh, he's got problems. That guy, I don't know what he was eating last night.
He needs some Pepto.
He needs some Pepto. Okay. I'm not going to play the rest of that. You get the gist. No, I don't care what he has to say. Of course, he's going to deny all that nonsense. But I want to dig into what the president had to say, which we'll do on a later show when we get more of that information about the process that we're going to go through to work with our allies to put international pressure on, more international pressure on Iran. But I think we're going to turn. I think they are turning into the next North Korea.
Yep,
they really are.
Well, the fact that the agreement that Obama signed with him is almost mirrored to the one Clinton signed with North Korea is the reason I think
the president went into that about all the money that was shipped over there, and there are two schools of thought on that. Like, hey, this is money we owed them from decades ago, and it was done, but it was the way it was done. It just looks bad
in the middle of the night,
especially
from a plane.
for a president like Obama who was so focused on the optics of everything he did.
Right,
everything was a photo op. To do it that way, oh man, that smells bad.
I'd say, since they killed all of our people at the embassy, we didn't owe him a dime.
Wasn't that stunning? And he goes on and talks about the Americans that were killed over and over and over by Iranian-backed terrorists, and Iranians themselves going into Beirut, bombing the Marine base, and I mean all kinds of stuff. And then you've got the USS Cole.
Yeah.
You've got 9/11. You've got all these people. It's just unbelievable.
Not
and here we are still
Syria.
We're still dealing with them. Oh yeah, what they're doing in Syria.
Right.
We're still dealing with them as though we're on a level playing field. These are the bad guys, everybody. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say it's been a while since that's been really brought up into the light, even though it's been, you know what I mean? Like
What is it?
The whole Afghan, that whole thing, because we're still over there, are we not?
Yeah.
I mean, exactly.
Yeah.
Like
it's the longest conflict we've ever been in.
And it's been kind of brushed under the table for a good while, so it's kind of refreshing almost, as bad as that sounds, for it to be brought back into the light.
Oh, when I was there 5 years ago, I've been home for 5 years. When I was still in Afghanistan 5 years ago, we felt like we'd been forgotten. And now it's 5 years later.
Right.
It's sad. And I just had my niece just graduated from AIT. She'll be going. And my one of the other people here at the radio station, his son just got back. There's still people dying every day in Afghanistan. And now there are contractors, and by the way, I don't even know if I should say this.
Say it.
I mean, there are Americans fighting right now in Iraq, fighting ISIS. Yep. I know them. I talk to them on Facebook. Because, yes, you've got Facebook in Iraq. Iraq is a modern country compared to Afghanistan. Afghanistan's like hell with all the fun sucked out of it. That's how I picture Afghanistan.
Wow. So there's no cards, no cigars, and no booze.
No, actually, most of that's illegal because it's a Muslim
joke.
Oh,
because you said it's like hell with
all the fun sucked out. Yeah. So when we come back, we're going to talk about Maxine Waters and Ben Carson with regards to Puerto Rico. There's been a lot of criticism coming out of Puerto Rico and a lot of criticism going into Puerto Rico. We're going to break it down for you next on Earl and George, Aged Conservative Talk. Go out to our Facebook page, hit share, hit like, tell your friends, tell your neighbors. This is where you're going to get political analysis without all the bull crap and maybe a little spiced rum to go along with it.
And some fart noises.
Why not? We'll be right back.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You're bringing your daughter to a pop concert. Do you A, wear earplugs?
Isn't this fun, Dad?
I'll have a soft pretzel.
Or B, just roll with it?
Justin! OMG! I love you, Justin! I love you!
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Mama always said that if you keep playing with it, it'll fall off. You're listening to Earl and George.
We were just talking about the president talking about Iran, and we asked the question, when did Iran become a country? You know that in 1979, when they bombed our embassy in Beirut, they became a country April 1st of that year, and then immediately attacked us.
Wow.
Too bad that wasn't a joke.
Wow. Yeah, that
April
is
Fools.
Unbelievable. And and back in the day, they were a thriving modern country, and as soon as they became the Islamic Republic of Iran, it all hell broke loose, and now they live in destitution and fear of their own government.
Yep.
Way to go, Sharia law.
Yeah, they had an overthrow, right? The people supposedly rose up against the government that was thriving and didn't like them anymore because the people that were in charge of the government looked to be rich and wealthy.
I mean, they were the Dubai of their day.
Right. The people that were in charge were the quote-unquote 1%ers, just throwing that out there. And that a little analogy for you.
Oh, they wanted to tax them, make them pay their fair share?
Yep.
Yeah. So our favorite congresswoman, and we say that being totally facetious because we can't stand the ground she walks on, Maxine Waters wanted to say to Ben Carson, ask some questions of Ben Carson. I'm just going to play the audio, and then we'll talk about it. With regards to Puerto Rico and the relief efforts.
Thank you very much. I had intended to start to talk about the housing crisis that we have, but since the president was busy tweeting this morning, and you referred to HUD's role in dealing with the hurricane disasters and what you and the administration are doing, this morning, Trump threatened to abandon Puerto Rico recovery effort.
No, he did not.
Wow.
No, he did not. What he did was, that's her opinion of what he said.
Right.
That's her opinion. Threatened to abandon the relief efforts of Puerto Rico.
That'd be political suicide.
If the president was to come out and say, we are going to abandon Puerto Rico, you're on your own, you suck, he'd be done.
Yep.
So Maxine Waters is now making up stuff. She's now putting words into the president's mouth.
Doesn't surprise me.
President Trump served notice Thursday that he may pull back federal relief workers from Puerto Rico, effectively threatening to abandon the U.S. territory amid a staggering humanitarian crisis.
Now she's caught herself. Now she realizes that she can't say that, so now it's effectively.
Right.
Okay?
In the aftermath of Hurricane Maria, in a trio of tweets he wrote, "We cannot keep FEMA, the military, and the first responders who have been amazing in Puerto Rico forever."
Okay. Do you hear that pause? Hear that pause?
Because he said they were amazing.
No. She edited the tweet. Here's what it actually said. We cannot keep, by the way, this is the third of three. So he starts talking about Puerto Rico and then ends it with this one. We cannot keep FEMA. I want to go back and play her rendition of it again. Here we go.
Amazing
Hang on, you got to hear that pause.
Cannot keep FEMA, the military, and the first responders who have been amazing in Puerto Rico forever.
Here's what the president actually tweeted. We cannot keep FEMA, the military, and first responders who have been amazing under the most difficult circumstances in Puerto Rico forever. So she goes to the last tweet he puts out and pulls that line out and then edits it and doesn't actually quote the president. She says the president says, then doesn't actually quote the president properly.
On Thursday, he sought to shame the territory for its own plight. He tweeted, electric and all infrastructure was disaster before hurricanes.
Hear what she said? Now she says on Thursday as though it's a different tweet that he put out.
Right.
This is now number 2 of the 3 in order that he put out, and she edited it again. Listen.
Electric and all infrastructure was disaster before hurricanes. So you talked about...
Here's what the president said in tweet number 2. Continuing from tweet number 1, because now it's taken completely out of context, I will begin where she began. Electric and all infrastructure was disaster before hurricanes. Congress to decide how much to spend.
Wow.
Congress needs to decide how much to spend on an electrical infrastructure in Puerto Rico that was already in shambles.
Wonder why she omitted that part. What's her job again?
She's in Congress.
That's right.
That's what it is. Now, here, does she read the first tweet?
HUD is doing...
No, because the first tweet says, quote, Puerto Rico survived the hurricanes. Now a financial crisis looms largely of their own making, end quote. That is a quote from Cheryl Atkinson. He continues, a total lack of accountability by the governor. Electric and all infrastructure was disaster before hurricanes. Congress to decide how much to spend. We cannot keep FEMA, the military, and first responders who have been amazing under the most difficult circumstances in Puerto Rico forever.
Wow.
She completely changed what he said by, first of all, taking it out of order and context. But she's not done because she's talking to Ben Carson, the HUD secretary, and here's what she has to say.
In cooperation with, I guess, the administration, do you agree with the president?
I certainly agree that Puerto Rico is a very important territory. The people from Puerto Rico have contributed greatly to the culture of America.
Well, I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is these tweets where the president threatened to abandon Puerto Rico recovery efforts. Do you agree that they should be abandoned, that Puerto Rico should be abandoned?
Now, she's asking him, who she has described as an educated fool. That's a quote. She said that Ben Carson is nothing more than a, quote, educated fool, end quote. She's now asking him whether, this is how sick she is. She's asking him whether he agrees that Puerto Rico should be abandoned when the president never said Puerto Rico should be abandoned. So in essence, she's asking him if he agrees with her opinion of what the president said. Listen to it again.
To the culture of America.
Well, I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is these tweets where the president threatened to abandon Puerto Rico.
He never threatened to abandon Puerto Rico, but she feels as though he did. So now she asks,
recovery efforts. Do you agree that they should be abandoned, that Puerto Rico should be abandoned?
What? If I was Ben Carson, because he hadn't read the tweets.
Right.
If I was Ben Carson, I would have said something like, I don't believe the president said it should be abandoned. I don't agree with your assessment of what the president's tweets actually said. Shall we go through them in order, Madam Congresswoman? Shall we go through the actual texts and not your opinion of what they say?
Well, first of all, as I was saying,
and he tries to answer it as best he can.
It was a very important part of our culture.
No, I know it's important, but I want to know whether or not you agree with the president who's threatening.
Now, she's talking over. Listen to what he says.
Puerto Rico is a very important part of our culture.
No, I know it's important, but I want to know whether or not.
And Puerto Rico is very important, and as a result of that, we are not going to abandon him. Listen to it again. Most people missed it. Because she wouldn't shut up.
Be abandoned?
Well, first of all,
just listen to him.
As I was saying, Puerto Rico is a very important part of
No,
our
I
culture.
know it's
and as a
important,
result
but I
of
want
that,
to
we're
know
not
whether
going
or
to
not
abandon them.
you agree with.
Okay, we have just answered your question, but you didn't hear my answer, Madam Congresswoman, because you can't shut your pie hole.
No respect.
She's not done.
The president who's threatening to abandon Puerto Rico recovery efforts.
I think I just said I have no intention of abandoning Puerto Rico. They're a very important part of who we are.
So you don't
Okay, done. There we go. You've answered it. Should they be abandoned? No.
agree with the president.
So you don't agree with the president. She just wanted to catch him in an aha moment that she invented.
Right.
He tweeted electric and all infrastructure was a disaster before the hurricanes, and sought to shame the territory for its own plight. Do you share?
Wait a minute. Sought to shame the territory for its own plight. Has she ever been to Puerto Rico? I've been to Puerto Rico. It's a crap hole.
Gorgeous beaches, though.
Some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them. I mean, I've been there. Okay. It didn't look like any state I've ever been to. It looked like a Caribbean crap hole. Because guess what it is? Now it's our territory. Okay, it's American soil, and we talked about this the other day on our show. It's an island. For those of you that don't know, you can't.
Right.
It's hard to get stuff there
with a
but
huge
the government,
ocean around it.
It's surrounded by water on all sides, makes it an island. Just FYI.
Who was it that told us that?
I believe it was the president.
All right,
and it's hard to get there. And
Can't drive
the government there is corrupt.
Yes.
Okay.
Democrats, by the way.
They're you can't stand there and say we're not getting what we need when there's thousands of pieces of material what you need behind you. It's all a lie. Everything you see in the media is a sham. A sham. Did you say you had somebody in Puerto Rico?
I have friends and family down there that have told me that and now it's actually gotten worse. Is what I was going to add. The last time though, I was telling you that they said don't believe what they're saying on the media here because they are getting the help they need. But now they're doing like raffles. Like you have to have like an armband to be able to come and get stuff now because the lady that supposedly started everything against Trump is not letting the people come and get the food and the water that they need unless they are certain people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Are you talking about rationing?
Yes. Yeah.
And these are the people we want in charge of health care.
Right.
Oh, she's not done.
That opinion?
I think that our job is to make sure that we take care of the disaster that has occurred.
So you don't agree that it should be abandoned, is that right?
Of course it should not be abandoned.
And you don't think that they should be shamed for its own plight?
Now he's starting to put words in she's starting to put words in his mouth. Now, so you don't think it should be abandoned. He's already said it shouldn't be abandoned, but now it's all about him disagreeing with the president for something the president never said.
Right.
She said it.
Is that right?
There is no question that there have been a lot of difficulties in Puerto Rico. They ended up.
Should they be shamed for its own plight?
What? Its own plight. You caused the problem in Puerto Rico to begin with. Your infrastructure was in shambles. Then a hurricane rolled through, and all we're talking about is the fact that we're trying to help people in Puerto Rico who need our help. And you're so worried about getting a political point over on the urban development director and the president of the United States. You don't care about the people of Puerto Rico.
Nope.
All you want to do is score political points to get somebody you hate in government.
Right.
She's sick in the head. She has put words in Ben Carson's mouth. She's edited the tweets, edited the words of the president. She's taken them out of context for political gain. And the people of Puerto Rico are suffering because of you.
Yep. Instead of actually doing what she should be doing to give them the money.
And listen to how she ends it. She wins.
Should they be shamed for its own plight?
And debt. I don't think it is beneficial to go around shaming people in general.
Okay, so I'm glad to hear you don't agree with the president.
Wow.
Are you kidding me?
This lady there's no words. None.
We've said all the words
that we can
We've
say.
said them all. We can't say them on radio.
Right.
It is mind-boggling why she keeps being elected. Her constituents can't be that stupid. They just can't be. There's something going on. You can't elect this moronic, insane woman to the Congress over and over and over again.
Who has been proven to be the most corrupt.
She is by far the most unethical
that's what I meant.
human being in Congress. And all she cares about is political points. She could give 2 squirts about the people of Puerto Rico. She doesn't care at all. All she wants to do is make the president look bad. And anybody in his administration. Shame on you for electing this woman again.
Well, she got the headline she wanted.
We'll be back. It's Earl and George. We'll talk about Obamacare and President Trump's new executive order next.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. You know, I help people solve difficult problems every day, but one problem has me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. Luckily, the Feeding America network of local food banks collects surplus food, giving hope to hungry children and their families. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn earrings today.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Michaela's got like the best earrings.
Sarah, buckle up.
I wish my name was Michaela.
We're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
It can be tough getting through to kids, but it's your job to make sure they're wearing your seatbelts. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
You're listening to Earl and George, aged conservative talk.
Man, I tell you, my blood pressure goes there. Every time I start talking about Maxine Waters, my blood pressure starts climbing, my heart rate comes up, my voice gets real high like this, and I start screaming at Maxine Waters.
Deep breaths.
Woosah. Well, at least the folks at Robert E. Lee High School don't have to worry about it anymore.
Oh, man. Really?
San Antonio, Texas.
What is it that they decided they were going to name it?
It is now called the Legacy of Education Excellence High School.
Also known as?
Lee High School.
Way to go.
They've changed the name from Robert E. Lee High School to Lee High School.
Yep.
Legacy of Educational Excellence. I don't know how you could go from a name that pissed off half the people to a name that pissed off all the people.
Right.
Well done. Well done. Just so stupid.
Well, that's what they want. That's what they're aiming for.
Can you imagine the kids like, yeah, I go to Legacy and Education Excellence High School.
Nobody's going to say
the
that.
Cheerleaders like, give me an L. No, can't do that one.
Right.
None of the kids are going to call it. They're going to call it Lee High School. It's Robert E. Lee High School. But it's technically now Legacy and Education. All right. Craziness. Now, I wanted to talk about Obamacare, and I know this is probably going to be a long one. We've talked about Obamacare a lot.
Right.
Did we even talk about the Boy Scouts?
No, that's coming up. That's coming up. That's coming up. But thank you for reminding me, because that's kind of your job.
Is it?
No, not at all.
You fell into that one.
Yeah, I surely did.
Softball. Trump came out with an executive order. And by the way, Rand Paul's standing right behind him.
Right.
Okay.
Did you see how the liberals twisted it, though? They said he was disgusted with the president because of his body language and because he didn't shake his hand.
Of course they would.
Yep.
All right. I have a question. When the Affordable Care Act was passed in 2010.
Forced down our throats.
By Nancy Pelosi and all the Democrats, and they owned everything.
So they could see what was in it.
Right. They passed it to see what was in it. The Republicans, I have no idea what your gang signs are throwing. They just ask me a question, dude. What is it?
You're ruining the magic.
There's no magic. You're waving your hands around. You going to put a rabbit out of a hat or what?
Yes. No, I was going to say, did you need the host audio channel up?
No, I don't. Yes, I do. Yeah.
No, yes, no.
I do,
yes.
actually, because I have the president.
Okay.
So when they passed it in 2010, the representative, the House of Representatives, is where all funding starts.
Right.
Okay. I have to go back and research this, but from what I have read and the cursory understanding I have is that no money was appropriated from the House of Representatives for the subsidies that are paid out through Obamacare.
That's what I thought, too.
It was done through executive order by President Obama.
Right.
I missed this. Now, because the money has been coming out of the Treasury, apparently that is against the law because no money was actually appropriated for the subsidies.
Right.
There was money appropriated for the website. There was money appropriated for the books and everything else. But there was no money appropriated for the subsidies because they couldn't get that through Congress.
Right. Because we controlled the House at the time.
So now the money's been coming out for the last 7 years.
Yep.
Unappropriated by the House of Representatives. And if the President of the United States in 2010 or whenever he wrote this executive order took that money and appropriated it, that is a violation of the law. Now, however, because we've got executive order precedents that appropriated that money, and we've spent that money on subsidies for the last, the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Right? Because because it was 2010, then 2014 is when it kicked in. So the last 3 years we've been spending money we shouldn't have. Because we have that precedent, now Donald Trump can come along and do an executive order that undoes that. And I believe that's what he's done.
Right.
As part of this executive order. But he's also done a lot more. Listen to this.
Years ago, congressional Democrats broke the American healthcare system by forcing the Obamacare nightmare onto the American people. It has been a nightmare. You look at what's happening.
I want to stop him there because when it was first proposed in 2010, I started doing the math. And I can go back every single year on January 1st until 2014, when I stopped doing it, I was calculating and I was putting out all of the increases that I had to pay. Less service, more premium money,
Right.
higher deductible. 2011, 12, 13, 14. I believe I did it in 15 as well. And my insurance premiums, tripled for my family over that time.
Yep.
And they're only worse now.
Yep.
We talked about it a couple weeks ago.
With the premiums and the increases of 100% and 120%, and even in one case, Alaska, over 200%.
Sheesh.
We talk about that next year. Next year, they're going to have a 200% increase in some states from the insurance companies.
Has blocked the effort to save Americans from Obamacare, along with a very small, frankly, handful of Republicans.
And those are the important ones we need to get out of office.
Right. McCain.
And we're going to take
Collins,
also
Murkowski.
because I believe we have the votes to do block grants at a little bit later time, and we'll be able to do that. Premiums have gone skyrocketing. But today, 1/3 of all the counties in America have only a single insurer selling coverage on an exchange, and next year it looks like nearly half of all counties in our country. Think of that. All of the counties, 1/2, will have only one insurer, and many will have none.
Can you believe that?
Wow.
More than half of the counties in the United States will have choice of one insurance provider.
A choice in air quotes.
A choice of one.
Isn't that a monopoly?
Some will have a choice of none.
It's already a monopoly now.
How? What?
You're not allowed to buy insurance across state lines.
Yeah.
Your insurer has to operate within your state.
And for like, if you wanted to go out and get health insurance for just you, the only person you could get it through in this state is Blue Cross Shield.
Blue Shield. That's it. That is your one choice in the state of Alabama.
How is that not illegal? I thought there was laws for monopolies.
There you go.
Welcome to the Affordable Care Act. It's going to improve choice and save the average American family $2,500 a year. It was all a lie. All of it.
Many will have absolutely created roadblocks for people to have any form of the insurance we're talking about. This is why in a few moments I will sign an executive order taking the first steps to providing millions of Americans with Obamacare relief. It directs the Department of Health and Human Services, the Treasury, and the Department of Labor to take action to increase competition, increase choice, and increase access to lower-priced, high-quality health care options.
Now, listen to he named the Treasury.
Right.
That's the part that everybody's freaking out about, right? The Treasury falls under the executive branch. And Obama used that to appropriate the subsidies illegally. And none of us noticed it.
And they will have so many options. This will cost the United States government virtually nothing. And people will have great, great health care. And when I say people, I mean by the millions and millions.
Now, who's he talking about? Go ahead.
Americans.
Yeah, but he's talking about younger people,
right?
That Obamacare screwed. The whole purpose of Obamacare was to get healthy young people, force them to pay for insurance they didn't need in order to pay for older, sicker Americans that couldn't afford or needed more care.
Right.
That was the entire plan. They sold it as a bill of goods that it was going to help everybody. But the reality was it was to soak young people, get them and force them, right? And then it was like, well, you can stay on your parents' plan until you're 26. Can somebody explain to me why you're allowed to vote at 18, drink at 21, but not provide your own health insurance until 26?
Right.
Can anyone explain that to me?
Or how would those people? Well, they'd be paying into it right through their taxes. That's
so
how they were doing it.
So they're forcing They were forcing young people who are generally healthier to pay for services that they were not going to use and didn't need to pay for these other people that either needed more care or could not afford it. What the president's talking about now is because he can't change the law. The mandate's still that he can't change that. But what he can do is he can direct the executive branch in such a way that offers those young, healthy people less expensive health plans that are covered under the ACA until we can get rid of that monstrosity, taking them out of essentially the ACA. Right? He's trying to stabilize that market, which is collapsing in front of him. And you and I've asked this question. Do we want to watch it collapse and hurt a lot of people, or do we want to dismantle it piece by piece slowly over time and hurt as few people as possible? That's the question. I think what the president's doing is just fine. And we'll get back to that.
First, we aim to allow more small businesses to form associations to buy affordable and competitive health insurance. This would open up additional options for employers to purchase the health plans their workers want.
That's very important, and that is part of Rand Paul's thing. This is the first step toward Rand Paul's removing the state line issue, where people can join associations across state lines and pool their resources for lower competitive rates. Because you can't buy health insurance across state lines means there's no competition. Who's competing with Blue Cross Blue Shield? Nobody. And when I called Blue Cross Blue Shield recently, you know what they told me? Call the Obamacare marketplace. They said,
really?
Yes. Oh, literally the only people I can go to get a plan for my family told me, we're going to charge you more than Obamacare is. And when I called Obamacare, I said, sure, why not? I'll go through and see what happens. Right? I made too much money for any subsidies. So they quoted me the exact same thing that Blue Cross Blue Shield said.
Wow.
Exactly the same thing. $1,700 a month. That's for me and my family. $1,700 with like a $14,000 deductible.
Wow, yeah. Because we've got $14,000.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
A family of four, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, jeez. Who doesn't?
I'm also directing Secretary Acosta to consider ways to expand these associations and these health care plans all across state lines.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's Rand Paul's thing. That right there, allowing people to join health associations, very much like MediShare, right?
Yep.
That will allow them to pool their resources, because that's why these larger corporations can afford health insurance for 50, 60,000 workers, because they go to they get special rates from the insurance companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Obamacare screwed all that up too. So now we're starting to see the change that I'd like to see. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Rand Paul.
This will create tremendous competition and transformative in so.
create competition. Why? Because we're capitalists.
Right? What's wrong with that?
Yeah. It lowers price. It increases innovation.
Anyways, change aimed at creating more and lower prices for millions of Americans. But the competition will be staggering. Insurance companies will be fighting to get every single person signed up.
Which will allow us and these associations to do what with these insurance companies?
Barter.
Negotiate with them. Allow us, because it transfers the power from these big insurance companies that have you locked in your state. It will force them to start competing across state lines and allow these associations of people to start negotiating with them, people like us who are self-employed or people that don't have insurance through their jobs, to start negotiating with them as though they do.
Nice.
And you will be hopefully negotiating.
Thank you.
Negotiating, and you'll get such low prices for such great care.
Boom. Have a nice day. I have nothing to add to that.
Yep.
And
About time.
Seriously. Because and all he's doing is taking a page from what the precedent that Obama started. If Congress ain't that, I've got a pen and a phone.
Right.
And I do a terrible Obama, by the way. I've got a pen and a phone. Well, guess what? That pendulum has swung, baby.
And, of course, that's what the liberals were talking about. Oh, the Republicans were up in arms when Obama said it, but now it seems to be okay because Trump is saying it.
Well, I am up in arms about something Trump said about the media.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, now that goes against it. I don't like the government interfering outside of the part that the government needs to interfere.
Right.
Okay. Now, this executive order, I'm going to read it. I want to get smart on it. But from what I understand, this is going to force some things in the direction we want them to go.
Yep.
Lower prices, more competition across state lines, associations negotiating with insurers, and lower prices and relief for the American people. You couple that with the tax proposal. Come on, Congress, get off your ass and do something right. Come on, Republicans.
Mongolian wild ass.
We'll be right back. We're going to talk about the Boy Scouts and, of course, the douche of the week when we come back.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Hey, you, over yonder. You're listening to Earl and George.
Uh-huh. Well, when I was a Boy Scout, we joked about how awesome it would be to have girls in Boy Scouts. However, we also joked about having Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts in the same camp. And all of the things that teenage boys think about.
Right.
And now, all of a sudden,
dreams come true.
The Boy Scouts have announced that they are going to allow girls. And I believe, wasn't it years ago, the Girl Scouts said that they would allow boys, but nobody, one join or something?
I don't remember that.
Being the father of 3 daughters who were all Girl Scouts, and the husband of a Girl Scout leader, my wife, and by the way, an Eagle Scout. My 2 brothers are Eagle Scouts. My sister's a Girl Scout, a Gold Girl Scout. We were all Eagle Scouts. I think this is a terrible idea.
Right? Why is that, George? Why is it a terrible idea?
Well, I believe that at the age of scouting, Boy Scouts are 11 to 15, let's say. And it's actually more like 12 to 18, because 18 is when you get out. that there are differences between a 12-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl.
No, you don't say.
Well, I mean, I'm a science denier, so I believe that if you looked at it, and again, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a sociologist.
Have you ever been a 12-year-old boy?
There's this one time. Lasted for right around 12 months.
I was going to say,
yeah,
a good year.
Yeah, it was right at about a year where I remember being a 12-year-old boy.
So that's why you think you're the world philosopher on 12-year-old boys.
Yeah, I kind of have experience. I've never been a 12-year-old girl.
Right, me neither.
But I have experienced the lives of 3 of them, 12-year-old girls, 4 if you consider my sister. And so I understand the difference between, believe me, when I was 12, I knew the difference between a boy and a girl already. Now, I have to say some things just as a disclaimer. Number one, I think that the Girl Scouts of America is an organization that doesn't teach girls what they need to know.
Right.
The Girl Scout troop that
I don't
even want to get into it. Okay? The Boy Scouts have a citizenship badge. The Girl Scouts don't. Boy Scouts learn to start a fire. Girl Scouts learn to cook. Yeah. Boy Scouts learn to use a knife and an axe and a hatchet. Girl Scouts learn to sew.
You see where he's going without going there?
It's pathetic. It's pathetic. Now, I'm just saying on average. I'm just saying I'm casting a wide net there.
Right.
My Girl Scout troop, because I was the token, dad.
The den mother.
Right? We went on camping trips, and we went on backpacking trips, and we went to the firing range, and I taught them how to use a knife and an axe and a hatchet, and I taught them how to make a fire and how to pull fish out of a stream, and I taught them first aid and things like that.
Put that Army used to.
But they also learned how they were different from boys. They also learned different skills because some of the things in Girl Scouting needs to know. I believe boys need to learn some of that, and girls need to learn some things that are in the Scouting manual.
Yep.
But I'm not saying that the two of them need to be in the same group. Now, when they're older, when you are 17, 18, 19, and you want to join an explorer troop, that's fine. But when you have a Cub Scout and a Brownie,
right?
They are two. They should not be in the same group. I totally disagree with that. And I'm not talking about gender segregation or sexism or anything that. This is George's opinion as a 12-year-old boy that I was, and an Eagle Scout, and a Scout Master, and a quote-unquote den father. Let's go ahead and call it that. I have experience in this. And I have nothing wrong with girl scouting and nothing wrong with boy scouting. But to do some social justice experiment on our children in an activity that should be theirs and theirs alone,
right,
is wrong. Can girls learn all of the things that a Boy Scout can? Absolutely. Yes. Can a Boy Scout learn all of the things a Girl Scout can? Absolutely. But should they be brought together to satisfy some social justice movement under political pressure? I mean, here's the reality. The Boy Scouts of America and the Girl Scouts of America, their numbers have been dwindling.
Yep. And that's the whole reason they did it.
That's exactly right. Their numbers have been dwindling. Anybody want to take a guess why?
Because they're not going with their core founding anymore.
No. Absolutely. I completely disagree. Because society has moved away from their core values.
Yeah, well.
Now, I'm gonna say it. Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. Did I just describe the youth of today?
No.
No, you did not.
That's why they're not Boy Scouts.
Well, and, the whole thing to do my duty to God and my country is, another thing. There's no way.
On my honor.
Yeah.
I will do my duty to God and my country.
People have no honor nowadays. It's something that's kind of
Nor do they have a God, nor do they like their country.
Society has moved away from scouting.
Yep.
Both of them. Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, but especially the Boy Scout movement, Scouts used to be the guy that helped an old woman across the street.
Didn't you get a badge for that?
Now you help an old woman across the street. She thinks you're going to rob her.
Or she sues you because you moved too fast or something.
Scouts were the people that Norman Rockwell painted about. Scouts were patriotic. Now Scouts take a knee. Scouts were supposed to be the future. They were they grew up to be presidents. They grew up to be senators. They grew up to be business moguls. They grew up to lead communities.
Yeah, the leaders.
It used to be something that you put on your resume. I am an Eagle Scout.
Yeah, something you were proud of.
I have achieved something that most people don't. And I did it before I was 18 years old. Now it means nothing. Absolutely nothing.
It's a club.
It's no different than a church youth group. It means nothing anymore. And now you have all of the politics and the social justice going into it, and that's my take on it. What do you think?
Hey, I agree with you completely. I wasn't a scout because I tried it once, and I was a little bit rebellious youngster, and got kicked out of it. So, but I agree with you completely.
It's all that weed.
I did grow up in Birmingham. But yeah, I got what they were saying. I respected the organization. There was just some things that didn't vibe with me, and I told him, I said, look, I don't want to do this.
I think that the two organizations should merge. If this is the way they're going, you take the boy and the girl out of it. Call it scouting, and those people that want to have their kids in scouting can do that, and the people that want to teach their kids themselves can do that. But I think this is a terrible decision, putting these young boys and young girls together as though they're the same, because we know that they're not the same. Are they human beings? Do they have rights and they have all that? We're not talking about that. But you can't tell me that a 12-year-old girl and a 12-year-old boy going on a camping trip in the middle of the woods is not going to cause a problem.
Right. Especially, yeah. I'm not going to go into it.
We don't
have to say anything.
We have 3 minutes. We've got to go on to the douche of the week. And I could talk about the Boy Scouts forever and a day.
I was going to say, the thing that I think that ruined the scouting was when they made corporate America leaders part of the board of directors, when these big Fortune 500 people came in. Okay.
Yep. All right. Who you got for douche of the week, Mr. Producer?
I still kind of think, what was the dude's name that did all the molestations and?
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein.
I kind of think him.
Lowbrow kind of answer. That was an easy one. You didn't even think about it.
No, I thought when I watched the news, I thought about him.
All right, what do you got? Is that it? And Kanye.
And Tyga.
And Tyga. All right, go. Who you got, Earl?
I got Eminem and...
Yeah, I saw that video.
I totally forgot about Eminem.
I did see that video.
I love it. It's like, did you see the meme? Who's the one that held up the Griffins?
Yeah.
She held up the head, and the meme said, nobody destroyed their career faster than me. And then there's Eminem going, hold my beer.
Yeah.
What a great meme.
Yep.
I totally forgot about him.
Yeah, it's him and Seth Meyers, because but basically for the same reason. Both of them said that if you're fans of Donald Trump, F off. So, right, and I think...
And they got a lot of views.
Because people are championing that. But here's the thing, and I hate to put it to statistics, but Eminem is sitting there saying, if you're a fan of mine, I'm going to draw a line in the sand, and if you can't make the decision, I'll make it for you. F off, basically, is what he said.
Yeah, I'm done with Eminem.
Yeah, and he doesn't realize that, his supporters, it doesn't matter about the popular vote. More Americans wanted President Trump. It's been proven. Anyway, I digress. He's an idiot. He's an absolute effing idiot.
Is that all you got?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about Eminem. Michael Moore, I think, takes the cake for me, saying that the Pilgrims were quote-unquote religious zealots and blaming white privilege for Weinstein molesting people for 30 years.
Right. That's pretty douchey. That's up there.
But that's Michael Moore. He is a giant walking douche, and I guarantee you he's jealous of Weinstein,
right?
Because he's like, I'm too fat and ugly to be able to molest anybody for 30 years, so I'm going to, he's going to get involved in this argument.
Weinstein's not a looker, nor is he skinny, but yeah, he's no Michael Moore, that's for sure.
Michael Moore is like a walking zit.
Yeah.
He's crazy. All right, what do you say?
Yeah, I say Michael Moore.
Michael Moore.
I go with Michael Moore.
Michael Moore, you down?
Yeah.
Unanimously, congratulations,
ding,
Michael
ding,
Moore.
Ding.
Although
Congratulations.
Eminem, you are a giant douche, too.
And by the way, also, not only do you get a trophy from Earl and George because you're a giant douche, you also get a weekend away with Harvey Weinstein on a deserted island.
And
Have
some
fun
Quaaludes.
with that.
Wow.
Some Quaaludes.
Wow.
Guys, thanks so much for tuning in this week. We'll catch you next week. Oh, yes, we do. And then I'm on vacation. We'll catch you next week. It's Earl and George. Share the page. Love the website. Go buy some crap. Share this with all your friends on Spreaker and SoundCloud and so on. Guys, get out there and do something nice for someone you don't know.
Have a good one.
God be blessed.